This is literally why people feel stuck in any kind of emotion, is because they try to get rid of it and they don't understand it's actually serving them. If you see self-doubt as your best friend, it's easier to kick him out. It's just something that you're familiar with. You don't feel resistance confronting. Therefore, you allow it to be, you let it be. You know, you can have control over it. It destroys itself. All right. So, talking about self doubt, we're describing it based on what you are telling me is when I do good or I see progress and I'm moving in a positive direction for what I'm trying to create, then at some point, the little demon of self doubt creeps up and start saying why we're doing it. Is this even important? And that is what kind of kills the progress or makes you stop or quit or start from scratch. First of all, like self-doubt isn't each and every one of us. And as we were speaking before, the more we let the self-doubt control us and not take control of it or just let it be, the more we're going to encounter like a resistance. And then we're going to, like you said, you're going to feel defeated or you're going to start listening to it and you kind of entertain the actual thought and then everything falls apart. That's what happens for a lot of people. Most times when we quit or something happens, sometimes it's an actual conscious decision that makes sense and is totally balanced. It makes, you see the benefits, the drawbacks, and you see the actual truth in the middle and you take that route. But most of the time, people quit or make certain decisions out of self-doubt or any other limiting belief. The things that I would attach to it and how I work personally through it and how I would invite you to start looking at it is all about inner self-talk, and how we talk with ourselves is something that is going to be fundamental for us to actually see change in how we actually also operate. Same thing is if you listen to what you're telling yourself and you become conscious and self-aware of the actual inner self-talk you are giving yourself, especially in those moments, and you kind of step out or zoom out and look at what am I actually telling myself. If you can do that, it's quite tricky when we're feeling low or in a low energy state. But if we can, and this is why we're here developing this skill, if we can zoom out and we can see, hey, how am I actually talking to myself? And is the actual self-talk the thing that I'm doing to myself and is actually not the self-doubt itself? That is just a intrusive or just a thought that pops up, but how I make it mean something and how I interact with that thought is what is keeping me behind or stuck or makes me lose progress. So understanding that there is the actual thought that come up, and then there is your interpretation of it and what you make it mean. Let's say that I start doing something and self-doubt creeps in. And it's the little demon that comes on my shoulder and starts saying, I think this is going to fail. There is two responses. Either I actually listen to it and I start paying attention to it, and then my brain, because of literally the reticular activating system that we have, is going to try to find every single piece of evidence in my past or in a perceived future to why this is actually a bad idea, why it's actually could fail. Or I can just understand that, as we've been studying and you have in the curriculum also, of being observant of the thought, and I can just be curious around it. And it's like, ask myself, like, I wonder why this self-doubt or this little demon starts talking now. And it didn't start talking 10 minutes ago. Or why didn't it wait 2 hours? Why now? What is happening? Did something else trigger it? And just let it be there as a natural thing. I don't attach any meaning to it, meaning I'm not making it mean anything specific about me or my or the world or other people. I just accept it as energy, as a thought that comes in, and I can decide not to entertain it, or I can decide to ask him questions and say, hey, are you here to teach me something? Are you here to make me aware of something? Are you here to prevent something from happening? Are you here to teach me a lesson? So I would actually just be very curious and inquisitive into, especially if you look at it as a little demon, you can say, hey, demon, or hey, self-doubt, or whatever, old friend, because you probably are very familiar with it. Why are you popping up now? So either you can just let it be and say, well, it's just thoughts. They just happen. It's just energy that needs to be released, and it's based on my past experiences and all kind of sort of things and movies that I watched and conversation I overheard, and I can just let it be. Or I can actually start asking questions, being curious around it, and say, okay, what lessons are you here to teach me? Are you trying to help me, or are you just trying to disturb me? And I can decide to park it and come back at it later. I can also decide to entertain that conversation, but I can look at it from a place of I'm not the thought, and it doesn't mean anything about me. Because that thought enters my mind, it doesn't mean that I need to take it and invite it to dinner and give him dessert. I can decide not to look at it. I can decide to take time, like schedule 10 minutes tomorrow to think about it. I can have a conversation, but I can also just say, hey, this is like a super normal human experience behavior thing that happens. Doesn't mean I'm a doubtful person. Doesn't mean I'm going to make a mistake. Doesn't mean I'm wrong doing this. Doesn't mean what it's saying is actually for sure going to happen. There's actually a very little chance that this is going to happen. They made some studies, and statistically, the things we are anxious about for our future, there is only a 25% chances that those are actually gonna happen. There is no way why that should be the truth. And if we are observant of the thought and we are inquisitive and curious around it, that's gonna solve, I think, a lot of issues. Another thing that kind of came up for me when you were talking is when you hear that thought coming up, and for example, seeing other people, other guys, and thinking, oh, why do you even bother? You're never gonna be like them and all that. I want to ask that thought, or myself, or you, start asking yourself, whose voice is that? Is it actually my voice? Do I actually believe that? Or is just a voice I heard in society many times? Is the thousands of articles that are put online every day? Is the trolls of the internet that tell me that? Is my mom, is my dad, is my first grade teacher, is my kindergarten friends, is my football team? Whose voice is that? Where does it come from? And therefore, it can be, it's in there, but it doesn't mean more than that. And it's not my truth. So whose voice is it? Is it even my voice? Should I even spend time caring, listening, being inquisitive at all? And I think that helps quite a lot, because most of the time it's not our voice. And if we feel that it's our voice, usually it's something that came from our past anyways, and still doesn't have actual substance to this is actually the future. I'm foreseeing the future, and this is actually going to happen, therefore I should just quit. Last thing is about your professional side and the kind of leadership role. This is something where self-doubt goes very much hand in hand with imposter syndrome. So feeling like you're not the person for the job, or you're not the right person for this thing. It could be as a leader, but it could be also for people as a parent, as a friend, as a partner, as a son, like literally anything. We feel like imposters, so we start doubting ourselves as per our role. Am I in the right place? Am I the right person to be here, to do this thing, to be having these emotions, etc., etc. And with imposter syndrome, the most important thing that we can, like the most important way that I found helped me tremendously, and then I share with clients and help them tremendously, and I'm hoping, inviting you to use the same, literally using what Eminem did in 8 Mile. In the movie 8 Mile, if you're familiar with the movie, spoiler alert, but Eminem goes on stage, and in that rap battle, it starts the rap battle talking very like shit about himself. It says everything that the other guy could tell about him, he says it first, and he shits on himself, and it says like all sorts of bad things that he knows are true, or are just like weapons that could be used against him. He owns them, and it says them about himself. So when the other guy takes the mic, he has 0 bullets left. He can't do anything, and Eminem wins. So you want to be like Eminem in this case. And the best way to do it is sharing openly what is going on in your head, because that makes you a better leader. We all have our different angles, perspectives, things we're good at, things we're not good at, things we're doubtful about, things we're certain about. But if we say it out loud, how do you think the other person would feel you and perceive you and accept you? So for example, if I want to share something with you, but it's something that I kept very personal. It only worked for me. I never shared with the client. I would say, I have this technique. I never use it on anybody else but myself. And it scares me to share with you because I have zero proof that it actually works on other people. So I'm here, I'm a little bit shaky. I'm not 100% sure I should do this, but at the same time, I know how tremendously it helped me. And I really want you to have the same experience. So if there is any part of me that can help, I want to help. So what I'm going to say, take it with a grain of salt. Don't trust what you hear. I'm going to do my best. And if there is any way or moment where you feel this is bullshit or this doesn't apply to you or you feel I'm crazy, just let me know. I'm not going to take it personally. I just want to help, you know. And here's the thing, like, how do you feel about that? You would feel like, yeah, for sure, don't worry, like, chill, right? Instead of me coming to you and say, oh, you should definitely try this thing. This is what we're going to do. No other way it's going to work. Do it. And then be crippled by doubt afterwards, saying, oh my God, I hope it sends a message that it says it actually works. What if it doesn't work and all that? And have that self-doubt, because now I shared it. I put it out there. And I use this technique. I give it to other clients before when they were on their workplace, where they had to share some news or need to, be even on a job interview, is literally sharing what's going on in your mind. Example, if you're in a job interview and you're like, they ask a question and you're actually not certain about the answer, sharing that and say, actually, I'm going to shoot myself in the foot right now, but I'm not sure about the answer. I'd rather be totally honest with you guys than lying and then feel bad about it. Do you know that feeling when you're kind of want to be honest, but you're also shooting yourself in the foot? Everybody's going to say, oh yeah, definitely. Like, been there, done that. Then you share it. And now you create a communication, connection, empathy. And actually they're going to like you more because you just put your vulnerability out there, and everybody is going to recognize those feelings. If you have certain feelings around something, be sure that 99.9 people of people out there have tried them before in their life, because they're as human as you are. So if you share that and it comes from a place of, this is how I feel, I'm not sure about you, but this is how I work. Or do you know that when, and then you share how you feel, that is going to put you in an authority position, and you're going to use your own like bullets that could be used against you, but you say it before. So you can do that to kind of like interrupt the imposter syndrome thing. And for you as a leader, let's say that you have a certain thing that you need your guys to do, and you go to them and you say, I need you to do this. I also feel a bit weird telling you to do this because there is a part of me that is not sure about it, or, you need to word it right so that you still keep authority. And at the same time, you kind of like don't have the self-doubt. You're just a leader and you say, I want to take the best care I can of you guys. I don't want to make you feel that I'm not the right person, but I'm human. And sometimes I have doubts about this. So let's figure it out together. We're a team at the end of the day. I'm just your leader, but we're a team. We're here to make it work as a team. So what about, I share my ideas, you guys share yours, and you give me feedback, and we're just honest and open so that we make this work the best we can for everybody here. How would you feel if your boss comes to you and tells you that? Would you trust them more or less? What do we trust in leaders? What do we criticize usually authoritative figures for? Usually it's always they're not honest, they hide things, they're not truthful to themselves, or they value what they say they would have done, right? It's all about that honesty and transparency. So if we can have that within ourselves and others, and we're so certain about ourselves that we're just humble, but very resolute at the same time, there is no self-doubt and there is no imposter syndrome, because all of a sudden you're just a human trying to do your best with what you have, playing the game of life and incorporating, like doing things for the greater good. First is for yourself, then it's for your family, your loved ones, then it's for your community, your colleagues, then it's the whole humanity at large. But if you only make decisions and act based on, I'm doing things for the greater good, and you communicate that openly with all the doubts that are very human and normal, then that's how you're going to be perceived as well. So I hope this was helpful in how to see self-doubt and imposter syndrome that I think are linked, especially in your professional question there. And again, the best way to destroy any self-doubt is keep playing the game of life and giving yourself that feedback and those examples that you are actually capable of something else. You're doing things every single day to build the proof that you need for yourself, for your own self, to destroy the self-doubt. So self-doubt comes in and says, this is never going to work because you don't have the skills. If you had 1,000 days beforehand, before that thought came up, you had 1,000 days where you've been improving your skills, and you can actually say, hey, actually, I've been working on this for 1,000 days, and here's the proof. I've been journaling 1,000 days, and these are the skills I've done, or these are the things that my colleagues have told me, or this is the medal I won for this, or this is the impression I made on those people, like that, whatever. You're building proof to prove it to yourself when self-doubt comes in. So if I doubt myself, the best thing that I can do for myself is going reading reviews that clients told me, or reading your wins and your messages. If I feel in doubt, if I feel sad, if I feel down, if I feel this is not what I'm meant to do because of this and this, or this is too confusing, or it's not giving enough results, then I go back to the proof so that I can kind of shut down the self-doubt and say, yes, I recognize there is 1,000 things I could do better, and I want to be better at those, but there's also a shit ton of proof that tells me I'm actually doing a pretty good job. So maybe this is just a mind trap, and it's okay, it's there, but I don't need to actually entertain it. This is literally why people feel stuck in any kind of emotion, is because they try to get rid of it and they don't understand that it's actually serving them. If you see self-doubt as your best friend, it's easier to kick him out. It's just something that you're familiar with. You don't feel resistance confronting. Therefore, you allow it to be, you let it be. You can have control over it. And it destroys itself. It's like fear of fear. Is the second you face a fear is usually very, very tiny. But the fear of facing the fear is what makes you fearful and keeps you stuck in fear. The second you just allow it to be and you confront it, it's like what you resist persists. So the more you try to get rid of it, the more you say, I don't want it, the more it means I have it. If you really want something, it's because you don't have it yet. So the more you just say, it's a human condition, and you can start asking yourself the question of, hey, what can I learn from it? What is here to teach me? It's literally like any other emotion is a feedback. It's teaching you something, wants to do you something different, or reevaluate things, or take a breather, do something different. You don't need to attach more than that.